What's up you guys, and welcome back to another Reddit reading video. I'm sorry if you hear a little bit of rain or a little bit of wind outside. There is a little hurricane named Dorian out there just blowing stuff around. But I decided I also want to get this video done before I shut down my computer. So I hope you guys really enjoy this r/ProRevenge video. Try to convert me not once, not twice, but thrice? I think not. My dad is a pretty easygoing guy, usually pretty calm. But like everyone else, he has this potential to blow up at someone if they kept at him enough. This was in the early 90s. I was playing in front of the yard and a couple people came up and asked if my parents were home. I nodded, pointed toward the bottom door, and they knocked. These guys were Jehovah Witnesses, and it was my first exposure to evangelism. Gotta put it out there that neither my father nor I have issue with witnesses. We aren't a really religious family at all, but each to their own. When my dad came to the door, he was still in work clothes from yard work. Maybe a little tired, but he told the guy he wasn't interested. It wasn't a super courteous reaction, but it wasn't rude either. It just seemed like something he didn't feel like dealing with. Flash forward an hour later, two other young men show up at the house. My dad was in his robe at this point. The robe was like his freaking uniform for not doing anything. Once the yard work was done, it was time to watch golf and relax. He went down to his cave, and that was it. Now, there was a knock on the door. And my dad, mom was out of the house, had to deal with it. He was very matter of fact with people. It sounded like a lecture at this point. Listen guys, you gotta coordinate a little bit more. You've already been here once today. Do you know where you're going over the same area that someone else did? This is my Saturday. I'm just trying to relax. They apologized quickly and left, skipping our neighbors in the process. Let's head 3 more hours into the future. There was a third knock on the door. I could hear my dad coming up from the basement. Son of a bee! He opened the door and the two young men started in their pitch. Do you have time to share with us good news with you? My father replied. Absolutely, come downstairs. To paint a picture of my dad's basement, he has his home office on the left. On the right was a den area with a lazy boy, or a sofa with extra lazy. It was about 4 in the afternoon now. He pointed at the sofa, then turned to the lazy boy to face them. Like some sort of middle-class godfather type. He reached into his robe and they sat down across from him, eager to tell him about their mission. He pulled out a pack of cigarettes and offered it to the men. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't smoke. As people? Correct. Well, let's call that one strike. My dad started chain smoking Camels until the whole basement was hazy. Please, continue. This made them uncomfortable, but they continued. After another 10 minutes, my father excused himself, came back down with a bottle of cheap scotch and 3 glasses. Apparently, witnesses can drink alcohol, but these guys weren't having any. They politely refused, but they were getting nervous. Meanwhile, my dad started slamming scotch like it was bottled water, and the witnesses kept on with the witnessing. At this point, my dad was no longer acting drunk. He was drunk. You guys want to see something pretty neat? My dad walked over to a padlocked closet of his office. He unlocked it and started removing guns and stacking them on his desk. How in the heck do you lose a live grenade? Oh, I think I see it. Thank you for your time, sir. They got up and showed themselves up to the door. My dad had a chuckle about it and then passed out on the couch. I got the majority of the story at dinner while my dad was explaining to my mom why he was flushed so early in the evening. I would get other bits of the story as I'm older. My parents lived in that house another 15 years before moving, and they never had another Jehovah Witness show up at their house. Wow, that's a good way to deter Jehovah Witnesses, not gonna lie. Let's see what this first top comment says. Pretty much this comment is saying is like, all you have to do is say that you are disfellowshipped, and they can't talk to you. Pretty much, if you get disfellowshipped, that means you've been disowned, and if you talk to someone that's been disowned, you'll get disowned yourself. What's crazy about this is I used to be in like a really like cultish church, like Christian church too when I was younger, like a teenager, and anytime someone would leave or get kicked out of the church, no one was allowed to talk to them, and that actually ended up happening to me, and then no one was allowed to talk to me. It was crazy. Let's get one more little ProRevenge story in here. This one's actually from a couple days ago. Take my money, sell me junk, then be prepared to lose your business. So a few decades back, I was involved in a group of guys with a little money and we wanted something substantial to invest in. We decided to buy a restaurant franchise. I will not even say what kind, as we could identify with me. Well, everything was going along swimmingly until my partners backed out. I, unfortunately, was the face of the group and my signature was on the bottom line, so I got stuck running the place. As soon as it became apparent that there were a lot of inconsistencies, the big number one was that the sales and the prospects were nowhere near what was being generated. Then there were other things, customers calling for their regular order. Well, it turned out that my particular franchise had been used for the past several years to deal grass for various drugs. The former manager had made some serious coin and was not happy that I had purchased his place. Well, life is not fun when you have just sunk 6 figures and the likelihood that you have just flushed it down the toilet. However, I was not going to be trifled by this. First, I called the accounting firm who signed off with the prospects. The partner in charge was taken back. They had never signed off. I presented myself in their offices and spent the next few hours with them and their attorneys. Their name could not be associated with something fraudulent. Next, I wanted my money back, and the chief franchisor told me that they would immediately put mine up for sale. But the market was not quite as high as it was when I bought it. Less than 3 months previously, then the prick had the audacity to demand that I paid for my last order from the commissary. Something else to consider. I took the price list provided by the central commissary that we as a franchise were compelled to use. Buying fruits, vegetables, cheese, and meats from outside the system would be accompanied by fines from the franchisor. I marched myself back to the accounting firm and asked for a little bit of analysis. Turned out, commissary prices were from 10 to 300% higher than market. In other words, the franchisor was not interested in food. They were interested in turning around franchising. Well, that little report found its way into the hands of 20 local franchises. Suddenly, the central commissary was not being used. The district manager starts showing up written fines. Turns out the district manager, this guy is who's supplying the manager of my franchise. I have him on discarded VHS security tapes selling. So I take the tapes to the accounting firm for the secure storage. Then I go to the franchisor's office. I lay it on the line. I have that their district guy selling drugs in my restaurant. They laugh at me until I tell them that I was the one who supplied the report for the rest of their franchises. Oh, and by the way, we're starting an action against you. I just showed them that we had placed lines on the building they owned, their commissary, their homes, and their vehicles. I have enough to put you guys in jail. So their mental giants sit me down, write up a little release, and go get me certified to check for every dime I put into the franchise. I agreed to the release. However, they do not realize that they are gouging, and the evidence is still in the hands of others. All they succeeded in doing was to get me off the list of owners suing them. Well, the case came to court, and who do you think was on the stand giving a complete rundown? One of them stood up in court and said, "Didn't we pay you to shut up? No, you refunded me the money you stole." Now they had 19 other guys taking them apart. I heard one of the franchisors cry when they took his Porsche. His wife left him soon after. Oh my goodness, wow, that guy is like, he really stands for justice and he got his little revenge. It's not every day you see like the honest working guy get his you know, what he deserves, and then having the owners get what they deserve too, which is usually negative. That's why a lot of these stories are so satisfying. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or comments, let me know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I forget to say that every time, but if you want to help me out, that's how you can do it. Thank you so much, and goodbye, my lovelies.